typically more emotional. Men are typically more logical. But what I'm finding as I'm watching more and more of these videos and I'm starting to observe more patterns and behaviors, what I'm learning is that men are actually not more logical and less emotional than women. Men actually, for the most part, lack empathy. So what we would interpret as somebody being overly emotional could really just be you being dismissive and having a lack of empathy for that person's humanity and that person's emotions as a human being. And a lot of men do that. And it's interpreted as, well, I'm just being more logical. Dismissing somebody else's perspective and how they feel is not being logical. Okay, so you guys, let's talk. What happens when a non-Black woman decides to start dating or dealing with a Black man? And when I say that, I don't mean what happens, like what actually happens to her in the relationship. I mean, what happens with her and her family? What happens between her and her community? So I found this segment in this podcast between this woman, like this girl, she looks like she's like Arabic or something, like some type of Arab, Middle Eastern. I'm not really sure. I don't really know anything about either one of these two people that are on the podcast, but it was this Arab looking girl with this Black guy. And they were just having, just in this short little segment that I'm going to play for you guys in a second, they were talking about what happens when a non-Black woman starts fucking with Black dudes. And according to what she's saying is that basically they get, meaning the woman gets like excommunicated from her community. She kind of has to she pretty much gets banished from her family, and pretty much they have to give up a lot in order to deal with Black men for whatever reason. Okay, so culturally, they just, whatever their beliefs are, they typically have to give up a lot, and that's what she's saying. And then she's saying that she feels like just for them to have to sacrifice so much and give up so much just for Black guys to still turn around and end up shitting on them and still making them into single mothers. Now, these are her words, guys. I did not say this. I'm going to play the clip for you guys in just a second. These are her words. I did not say this. And the reason why I'm bringing this topic up is because I've always kind of wondered about that. Because I know that a lot of, interracial dating, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But when you're talking about maybe going overseas and you're dealing with completely different cultures who have very specific, very strict traditions, things are different. So I've always wondered, what does that look like? Like, are these families accepting of this? Like, what is actually happening? It was just something I was always curious about. I just never really brought it up or talked about it. But I was always curious because I know that here in America, we're very sort of lenient and there really isn't any real solid traditions around like dating and marriage and stuff. So we don't really have that here. But when we're talking about overseas, a lot of those cultures are very strict. They have a lot of rules. Some of them even have, rules where, they want you to pay for their daughter. If you want to marry my daughter, you're going to have to pay a dowry or whatever they call it, a limbobo or whatever it is. So they have all different types of things. So I had always just kind of wondered about this topic. But let me just go ahead and play this segment for you guys. And then we'll talk about it after that.
Okay. So when a woman from another culture starts fucking Black dudes, her culture looks at her like we get banished. Right. You know that, right? And like we sacrifice a lot to with you guys, and then you guys fucking shit on us.
Yeah, we're the greatest ever. So
not really.
They can be mad.
I'm just saying, but like nobody understands that when a woman steps out of her culture to with Black dudes, she is now like excommunicated from her community. Like you don't understand that.
She shouldn't be around that funk ass community anyway. They mad, they mess with the great.
But then you guys make her a single mom.
So like I said, I mean, those are her words, not mine. So when I said that, she's saying that basically they give up a lot to mess with Black guys or have a relationship with a Black man and just for them to be shitted on, right? And well, first of all, let me just point this part out. I feel like the guy who was doing the podcast, I just feel like he kind of came at it in a very arrogant sort of way. And I really feel like I'm not even gonna say, well, I'm gonna say it's arrogant, but also very dismissive. It doesn't really seem like he was empathetic for what she was saying. It was almost kind of like he just kind of passed it off as and kind of joked his way around what she was saying. But I really think that this is something that should be talked about. I mean, because I think that I personally have never, I don't know what happens in these types of situations because I'm a Black American woman. I'm a Western woman, right? Public enemy number one for some of y'all. Some of y'all are gonna be in the comment section. You can be like, "Oh, this is just another hating ass Black woman, another hating ass Black bitch." You know, all that stuff that y'all be saying, all that gibberish. I already know I'm gonna get some of that. That's fine. Go ahead and type it. But I've always wondered about this, which is the reason why I'm bringing it up. And I just thought it was an interesting conversation. But you know what I really find interesting about this conversation is I'm just going to give you guys the straight up just a scoop, okay? Just as a Black woman who talks to a lot of other Black women, who reads a lot of comment sections from Black women, watches a lot of videos and video podcasts from other Black women. This is the general consensus that I'm a just keep it all the way real. Some of y'all are not gonna like what I'm about to say, but at the end of the day, it's the truth. And I'm just here to share with you guys what is being said. So the general consensus when I'm looking through these comment sections and talking to other Black women is that most Black women feel like Black men treat non-Black women better simply because they're not Black. Black women feel like Black men treat non-Black women, more respectfully. They take care of them better because what they truly feel like, if we're going to go down another layer in the, in this deep onion that we have going on here in life, if we're going to go down another layer, what they feel like is that Black men don't truly love their Blackness themselves. They don't really like being Black. They don't like their Blackness. They would prefer to procreate and have relationships with non-Black women because they don't truly like themselves, right? And so that is literally what is being said in these comment sections. That is literally what a lot of Black women really truly believe that and really truly think that. So you can feel how you want to feel about it. I'm just letting you guys know that that's what they think and that's what they're saying. That's what they're telling each other and that's what is being said. Black men have self-hatred issues, and that's the reason why they don't want to be with Black women. That is literally what is being said. Okay. And I'm going to tell you guys the reason why I don't really think that they're wrong in thinking that way, even though we all know that that's not always true. But in some cases, I can almost bet you that it is true. I can bet you that that is the case in some cases, not in all of them. And I'm going to tell you guys why it's not wrong for them to think that. Because when you really see a lot of guys who go overseas to look for love, how often are you really seeing men go to Africa? Africa, when they're looking, okay, you want the traditional wife, you want the traditional woman. Africa has some of the most traditional women in the world, but how often are you seeing Black American men traveling to Africa to get a wife? Not often, if ever. Okay, let's talk about Latin America, right? They go to Latin America all the time. Nothing wrong with it. That's what you want to do. Do whatever you want. But how often are you seeing them choosing the Afro Latinas? The women who the Latinas who actually look like Black American women, but they're traditional and they have the same cultural values that the non-Black Latinas or like the mixed race Latinas, the white looking Latinas, they have the same culture, the same values, the same upbringing. They're all meshed into one, but you're not seeing them being the ones that are chosen by Black American men. I'm just saying, I am not saying that all Black men do not like being Black and do not want to procreate with women who look like them. But what I am saying is that people are not wrong for assuming that that's what's happening because that's what it looks like. But a lot of Black men will make it very, very clear that they do not like Black women. They're not attracted to Black women. They don't think Black women are beautiful and feminine. A lot of and they will make it very clear, and they want you to know, like they want Black women to know, they want the world to know that they don't like Black women. They don't like Black women. They don't want Black women. They want people to know that. They want to share that information with the world, right? So to me, when you're doing that, it makes you look like you have self-hatred. It's different when you just have like your sort of personal preference. Like this is just somebody that I just happen to fall in love with, and this is just what I like. That's one thing. But when you're going out of your way to share that you don't like Black women, or that you have a disdain or dislike for Black women specifically, and that's your race that looks like you, like your women look like you, they're a reflection of you, and you're saying that you hate that and that that's lesser than, that's when people start to question how you feel about yourself. I mean, like it or not, that's what people do. That's how the mind works. So, anyways, I said all of that just to bring us back into the purpose of the fact that a lot of Black women felt like, or really feel like, not felt, but they feel like Black men treat non-Black women better because they're not Black. And obviously, according to this young lady, this woman here, that's not necessarily true. And so we're gonna go into another point. I'm gonna play into the next segment for you guys here in a second. But Black women really are convinced that Black men just don't like themselves. I read a comment. No, I watched a video where it was a Black woman and she was saying that she feels like Black men are trying to breed themselves out, like breed out their Blackness. So they're always going to choose a non-Black woman. So, like what we were talking about, not choosing women from African countries who are traditional, not choosing Afro-Latinas who are also traditional, but preferring to go overseas to like Asia, Europe, South America, and choosing non-Black or white, the white version or whatever the whitest version that you can pick in order to marry and procreate with. It seems to be more so prominent, and so she feels like Black men are trying to breed out their Blackness, like they don't want to reproduce with a woman who looks like himself. And I can't really blame somebody for coming to that conclusion, because even myself have found myself pondering in my mind, wondering, is that what Black men are doing? Because it looks like that. You can't help but to wonder, because you don't really see it as prominently in other races. Most races prefer their own race, even if they do experiment with dating interracially. They might experiment here or there. Their preference is always going to be for their own race. So the fact that a lot of our men don't have a preference for Blackness, um, outside of the femininity thing, just as far as their preference and when it comes to appearance, says a lot. And so this is sort of a deep conversation. This is a conversation that has a lot of layers to it, and it is going to be offensive to a lot of people. So I could go deeper into that, and I might do that maybe in another video, maybe in a part two. I could go deeper into this because it's deep, like, and a lot of people would be offended, because nobody would want, even if you felt that way inside, you would never want to admit or express or have anybody express that you don't like yourself, or that you don't want to procreate something that looks like you. Nobody would ever want to admit that. Like, that's just like completely taboo. Nobody would ever say that. Nobody would ever want anybody to feel that way. But what I'm saying is, that's what it looks like. And that's what people are saying.
You know what I'm
Pick
saying?
the right one. That's your fault. Pick the right you pick the good. Don't pick the ignorant fool. Simple as that.
Right.
It's different variations. Pick wisely, choose wisely, have those honest conversations. Save you a lot of bullshit.
A lot of women don't care, though.
Hey man, that's their fault. They fault. You picked the wrong.
Where are the right ones at?
Okay, so now this next segment, we're gonna take this a little bit in a different direction. It's kind of in the same globe. We're gonna take this in a little bit of a different direction, because I just want to address this point about choosing better. Okay, because here's the thing. We always talk about how women should choose better, right? Women a lot of times are not picking guys who are the best fit for them. Even a lot of times, if they see that this is not a good dude, this is not a good dude, sometimes they will still go for that guy. But there's a lot of cases where he might seem or he presents himself in a way that seems like he's a great guy, only for you to down the line find out that he is just not who he said he was. I mean, we've all experienced situations where we've been with a person who lied. I mean, I'm talking about there's people out there who is really good at lying. I'm talking like they can have a master's degree in bullshitology. I mean, they can tell a lie and it will really seem like it is their actual truth. So now, case in point here, when we're talking about choose better, I feel like that is a very dismissive way to address what is being said here. Because when we're talking about choosing better, how do you know what even happened in all of these situations? She is giving you a general consensus of what typically happens when a non-Black woman dates a Black man, and that a lot of times they're becoming single mothers. So are we saying that all of these women, all of these non-Black women, now we're not even talking about Black women here, y'all, who everybody seems to think makes the worst decisions, right? We're talking about non-Black women. So you're saying that these non-Black foreign traditional women are also choosing the wrong man. All of these women are also choosing the wrong man. They're choosing wrong. They're choosing bad. So who's the right guy? What does that look like? And I feel like the problem I have with his response is instead of being empathetic and maybe saying, you know what, maybe we probably need to maybe have a little bit more conversations amongst us and amongst the fellas. There's some things we need to change. There was really no empathy at all. It was just like dismissive, like, oh, y'all just choosing wrong. Oh well, pick the right ones, pick the right one. Just just bad energy. That was just bad energy, guys. A lot of times men accuse women, and I've said this before too. Men typically are more logical than women are. Women typically are more emotional. Men are typically more logical. But what I'm finding as I'm watching more and more of these videos and I'm starting to observe more patterns and behaviors, what I'm learning is that men are actually not more logical and less emotional than women. Men actually, for the most part, lack empathy. Okay. So, what I mean by that is, and it's not to say that women are more logical, but they actually don't really have empathy for others for the most part. Okay. So, what we would interpret as somebody being overly emotional could really just be you being dismissive and having a lack of empathy for that person's humanity and that person's emotions as a human being. And a lot of men do that. And it's interpreted as, well, I'm just being more logical. But you're really just being apathetic. You're really just lacking empathy for that person, where that person, maybe you could maybe try to be more understanding. Instead of being understanding, you're dismissing their entire perspective. That dismissing somebody else's perspective and their how they feel is not being logical. And if you actually really think about it, if you feel like that, you're actually illogical. It's like this woman is clearly expressing that this is an issue. Like women are falling in love with non-Black women of various cultures are falling in love with Black men and they're still end up getting played. And for you to sort of just dismiss that and to sort of just brush it off as if it's nothing and say, well, you're just choosing the wrong guy, to me is very irresponsible and it's very apathetic and it does not actually address it's not actually helping anything. And the thing is, like, when we're talking about, because I agree women need to choose better, right? I agree with that. I've said that before. But here's the thing, and I'm gonna just make this one last point. When we talk about choosing better, right? Let's look at Sierra and Russell Wilson. Let's look at that situation. Because this is something that's kind of been bothering me that I have not yet addressed, but it's been bothering me. So Sierra chose wrong in the beginning, right? So she had a baby by Future. That was not a good decision. Future is a bad boy. Future is the boy. He is not the man that you have a baby with. Okay. And obviously, Sierra chose wrong. Okay. However, her second go round, she chose right. And the man chose her. They chose each other. So for Russell Wilson to be getting so much ridicule, so much backlash, so much, oh, he's a simp. He's a beta simp male. He chose wrong. He shouldn't have picked her. Well, Russell Wilson is the ideal male. He's a good man. So if we're constantly telling women choose better, but then when she picks the better guy, the Russell Wilson guy, he now gets the backlash and the ridicule from men, from his own community, from the male community. Now he's getting backlash. But we just told that woman that we just ridiculed, we just told her, you need to choose better. And she chose better. And now you're ridiculing him for choosing her. We got to stop these contradictions, because to me it's given like you just need something to nitpick on. You got to have a way to ridicule the female in some way, because that's the energy that is given, y'all. And I'm a fair thinker, but I'm just telling you guys that this is a big thing, this is a general consensus that I'm seeing that is happening, that is very much more broad than I even realized. Because my thing is, okay, well, who else would Sierra have been with? Another fuckboy like Future? Should she have chosen another Future because she had a baby? Now she has to choose Future again in another form. Like, who else would she have chosen? Like, who else? She has the opportunity with a great man. Of course, she's going to take that opportunity. She would be a fool not to. So all I'm saying is, too many of you guys that's praising Future and then telling women that they shouldn't choose Future, and then bashing Russell Wilson for being a good guy, like, and then telling women that they should choose better. Like, it's just so confusing, y'all. I don't even know what I'm saying, because it's so confusing. Like, none of it makes sense. But this is what's happening in our society, which is the reason why so many of us are so mind. Okay, I'm just saying. So I wanted to just talk. Let me know what y'all think about this. Let's just talk about it in the comment section. You know, because I wanted to bring this up. This is an interesting topic that I always wondered about. Like, what happens with these women when because these cultures are very strict. So what happens when they choose a black man? Like, and I know that that's not culturally acceptable for them, but at least not most of them. And so I just wanted to address a few of the things that happen in this and just bring it up. So let me know what you guys think about all of this. Comment below. Make sure you like the video. If you like the video, subscribe if you have not yet. I'd love to have you guys as a part of the family if you want to see more content from me. And I'll see you guys next time.